Good morning, everyone. Namaskar. Let us start our Gita study with a prayer. This is from the Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam is one of the major 18 major Puranas, the most important of all the Puranas. This prayer is on page 104, at the top of page 104 in the book, The Universal Prayers. ॐ यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुस्तुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Salutations to that effulgent being whom Brahma and other gods praise with divine hymns, whom the singers of the Sama glorify by the Vedas and their auxiliaries, repeating the words in a particular order along with the Upanishads, whom the yogins realize through deep meditation with their minds wholly absorbed in Him, and whose extent neither the gods nor the demons know. May the Supreme Lord bestow His grace upon us all. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. In the 15th chapter, Bhagavan Sri Krishna compares this world to a tree, a Ashwatha tree. And the tree is an inverted tree. ūrdhvamūlamadhaḥśākhamaśvatthaṃ. Mula means root is above, ūrdhvam. Shakha means the branches. Adha, they are spreading downwards. What is the purpose of comparing the world to a tree? The world we are seeing is not like a tree at all. Doesn't like trees are there, but the whole world is different. There are only a few points that are few features that are common to the world and the tree. In every way, the world does not resemble a tree. This is true of all comparisons. When we compare two things, they are similar only in one or two respects, not in every respect. If they were similar in every respect, then they would be the same object, identical. So only in a couple of ways, the world resembles the tree. One reason why comparison is made is, like the tree, the world is impermanent. Ashwatha tree. The word Ashwatha means no tomorrow, not tomorrow. Shwa means tomorrow. Nasthata, it does not stay. The world is like that. Everything in the world is changing. Nothing is permanent. Nothing is constant, unchanging. So that is one way feature which is common to both the world and the tree. Everything is changing. The tree itself may live for a long time, but everything in the tree is changing. In the same way, the world itself will go on for a long time, billions of years. But every moment, everything in the world is changing. Though it is Nitya, Nitya means eternal, it is, everything in it is not eternal. Everything is changing. Just like a river. A river is, as a whole, exists for a long time. It flows. But everything in the river is changing every moment. Every particle of water is moving every moment. In this same way, this world, though it appears to exist for a long time, millions of years, billions of years, yet every moment, everything in the world is changing. All the beings, the planets, stars, earth, everything is changing. Some are changing slowly, we don't notice the change. Some things are slowly changing rapidly, we see them changing. So this kind of permanence, in which everything changes but the whole thing remains for a long time, like a river, is called pravaha nityatvam. Pravaha means current flowing. The river itself lives for a long time, but everything in the river changes. The world itself continues to exist for a long time, but everything is in the world is changing every moment, all the beings. It's one kind of permanence. The absolute permanence is Brahman. Brahman remains unchanging, eternal, no beginning, no end. The world had a beginning and it will end, and again it will come back into existence in a cyclic way. The formation of the world and the destruction of the world happen. But not so Brahman, the foundation of the world, which is the root. Brahman is eternal, no coming, no going, no changing, permanently, ever permanent, absolute permanence. That kind of absolute permanence is called Kutastha Nityatvam. Kutastha means like the anvil in a blacksmith shop. The very heavy, big anvil is there. On that anvil, the workpiece is kept. That anvil does not move, should not move, and does not change. The workpiece changes shape. Anvil remains the same. In that way, Brahman remains the same, eternal, no beginning, no end. That was described in the second chapter, sloka number 20. Najayate mriyate va kadachit nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuyaha ajo nitya shashvato yam purano na hanyate hanyamane shariri. Najayate namriyate kadachit. Does not take birth, does not die. Brahman. But all the beings in the world take birth and die. Constantly, beings are coming, taking birth. Constantly, they're changing and going out of existence. That is one kind of permanence. So, in this way, the world is similar to a tree. Impermanence. So, the purpose of comparison of the world to a tree is twofold. Two reasons are there. We have to only take 2 points. The message is consists of two ideas which we have to absorb and put into practice. The comparison of the world to a tree is done because of to convey two messages. What are the messages? First one is the impermanence of the world. Though they appear to be there for a long time, but they will change and go away. Any union, any combination of more than one thing is bound to separate into its components. It's a law of nature. Anything that is made up of more than one element is sooner or later going to disintegrate into its elements. So everything in this world is made up of more than one thing. You can't think of anything which is pure. If you take this cloth, it is made of so many different the yarn, thread, and that's made up of cotton. Cotton is made up of fibers, and the fibers are made up of the cells, atoms and molecules, and atoms are made up of small things, proton, neutron, subatomic particles, electron. Nothing is one. Everything is combination of many. If anything is a combination of many elements, the elements will sooner or later fall apart. The whole world is like that, made up of so many different beings of different types. They all fall apart. Nothing is permanent. So, one thing we have to note is nothing in life, nothing in our life is permanent. One point we have to remember. What does it mean? We cannot depend upon that one. Today it is there, tomorrow it will leave. It may leave suddenly, it may leave gradually. It may stay for a short time, it may stay for a long time, but leave they all will. People in our life, separation will come. They were not there when we were born. Then they all came into our life one by one. They played their parts, and when the time comes, they leave us. They will be there. We have to leave. When we leave, some people will be there, and when we are leaving, some people will have left already. That's the everybody's life is like that. Nothing is permanent. Therefore, we should not become attached to it. That's the message. Main message of this comparison is don't become attached to the world, anything in the world. If you have them, if they are there with you, keep them. We should do our duty by them, treat them nicely, kindly, use them for good purpose. And when they leave, we should say, thank you for being with me. I have done my part. That is detachment, not being attached, not assuming they will be there always. But when they are there, we should take care of them, do our duty by them. One message of this comparison. Second message is we generally focus attention on the world and not on the creator of the world. Creation is what we are interested in. Everything is fascinating. Yeah, so many things are happening. People are interesting. Entertainment, movie, business, money, property, house, children, grandchildren, all interesting. We have focused attention on them. How much do we think about God in a 24-hour day? Very little, if at all. So that has to change. We have to transfer our attention from the world to the source of the world, creator, namely God. That's very important idea, instruction embedded in this comparison. Sri Ramakrishna explains this with a parable. If you go to a rich man's house who lives in a very big mansion with a big garden, so many servants, so many floors, so many rooms in the mansion, so many art pieces, expensive things in the house, an ordinary visitor becomes fascinated by all these things. Oh, what a great building. Oh, such a big acre. With all the beautiful flowers in the garden. How many malis are working here? Gardeners are working here. How many servants must be working in that house? And there is a big house that the Ambani person built in Mumbai. Biggest residential building. Hundreds of people work there to keep the building. There is a helipad where helicopters can land, and a garage holding hundreds of cars, and so many rooms. They are not ordinary rooms, well furnished, like that. So that's what we are looking at, but we forget who created that one. So we transfer our attention from the world to God. The world is coming and going; it will change. It's not permanent. God is permanent. Creator is. So second instruction that we have to follow from this comparison is to not be fascinated too much by this world. Focus our attention not on the world, but on the Creator, on God, who made the world, who sustains the world and keeps the world intact, sustains the world. It's called Karya Karana Drishti. Karya means the effect, what we are seeing, world, product or effect. Karana means the cause, source, from where the world came, God. So instead of wasting all our life, all our time in being engaged, entangled in the world and trying to experience this and that, see this and that, get this and that, we have to leave the world aside, go to the source, the creator, God. We have to become, focus our attention on God, knowing who is this creator who made this world. That is second thing we have to do. That is why the comparison is given. Rest of the comparison is not important. The leaves are like the chandas, like that. Those are only to show some similarities, but not in every way. World is not like a tree at all. So I would say, don't worry about the details of the comparison. Two things, please note: no attachment to the world; it is temporary. One. Second thing is focus attention on the Creator, not on the world, God. Instead of being as fascinated by the world, oh, so interesting, I want to travel there and so many things happening, money, children, family, grandchildren, job, everything, all attention, all time goes there. No. Transfer our attention from this world to God who created this world, who sustains this world. He is the permanent one. This is changing, comes and goes. It's called Karya Karana Drishti. These two things, if you remember, then rest of the comparison we can leave alone. Now, the sloka number 3, Bhagavan Sri Krishna, we did that one last time. Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, it is impossible to figure out this nature of this world, where it came, when it came, how it was created, how it is run, how it will end, if it will end. All these things are not easy to know. Although scientists are trying to know more and more about this world, this universe, every day they are coming up with some new discovery, another star, another planet, another galaxy, so big. And we can't figure out these details of this universe. That's what sloka number 3 says. Narupamasyeha tathopalabhyate nanto na chadirna cha sampratishtha. Asya means of this world. Rupam na upalabhyate. Asya iha. Of this world here, the exact nature of form of the world cannot be known. It appears one way from here, it appears, if we look at some other place, it will appear in a different way, or changing. The galaxies and the distant stars and galaxies we are seeing as they were millions of years ago, because light has taken so long from them to reach us. What we are seeing is what not as exactly may not be there today. It takes us back in time. If you are seeing a distant galaxy which is 1 million light years away, or even 100 light years away, what you are seeing is the light that came from that 100 light years ago. That much time it has taken, 100 years it has taken for the light to travel from there to here. So that is a long distance. There's no way for us to reach there. And unless we travel at the speed of light for 100 years, so it's physically impossible at this present time. And it will have changed. By the time we see it, it has already changed. Everything is changing. So we can't figure out the nature of this world. Narupamasya tatha upalabhyate. Cannot understand the nature of the world. Na antaha, na adihi, na sampratishtha. We don't know how adi it began. So many theories are there. Big Bang theory is there. Christians say the world, God created the world in 7 days, like that. These are our views, different views. But how exactly it came into existence, we don't have any idea. Nacha adihi, na anta. How does it will end? How does it ends? How does it end? And when does it end? In what way? What happens afterwards? We have no idea. Na antam. Nanto na cha adihi, na cha sampratishtha. Sampratishtha means foundation. How is it sustained? By whom? How? What's the power behind the world? We cannot understand. Can't figure out all these things. Therefore, what is to be done is in the second line of sloka number 3, important line. Ashvatthaменam savirudhamulam asangashasтрena dridena chittva. Therefore, Ashvattham enam, this world, Ashvattham is the tree which is compared to this world. This world, which is not there, not going to be there tomorrow. Ashvatha, no tomorrow. Enam Ashvattham Suvirudhamulam, which is powerful roots. Chitva, cutting asunder our attachment to this world. We cannot cut the world into pieces. We can cut ourselves away from attachment to the world. We are too much attached. That's why we are here. This is not our true abode. This is not where we belong. Our abode is with the Lord. We are with Him. But this is not our place where we are supposed to be. We are strayed into this world because of karma and desires. This is not where you are going to be permanently. So we have to go from here. We have to cut our attachment to this world. Asanga, how? What is the Shastra? Shastra weapon? Asanga Shastra, the weapon of detachment. Detachment means not mine, not I, not mine. I and mine, that is attachment. We want to everything, want to own everything we call mine. My house, my son, my property, my job, my money, my reputation, nothing. They all go away. Only for a few days we can say mine. So they never belong to us really. So that is detachment. Ūrdhvamūlamadhaḥśākhamaśvatthaṃ asanga shastrena dridena, which is very powerful weapon of detachment. Dridena shastrena chitva, cutting asunder. Then we have to do, the sentence is not complete. Cutting asunder or attachment to this world by the weapon of detachment, what we have to do? Continuation, sloka number 4, next step. Tatah padam tat parimargitavyam yasmin gata nanivartanti bhuyaha tameva chadyam purusham prapadye yatah pravritti prasruta purani. Then after cutting asunder or attachment to this world with the weapon of detachment, we have to look for, we have to seek that supreme goal. Padam means supreme goal. Our goal is God, Brahman. Our goal is not the world. The world is not always there. Our goal is the creator world, the creator of the world, God, Brahman. The personal people believing in personal God, Bhakta, they refer to it as God in various forms, Rama, Krishna, etc. Those Advaitins who say Brahman is the goal. Whichever way we like to think about the cause of this world. You can think of it as Brahman, the ultimate reality, nameless, formless, Nirakar, Nirguna, attributeless, Nirguna, Brahman, or we can think God as Sakar and Sarupa, with form and Akara and with Guna, Saguna, attributes, in the form of some personality, Avatara, Ramakrishna, or Narasimha, Lakshmi, or Ganesha, or Shiva, or Parvati, or Vishnu. That's our choice. Cause of the universe. That has to be, we have to look for that God or Brahman, not get permanently entangled in the world. It's not permanent. Our association with the world is very temporary, only for a short time. It's not our place. Tatah padam tat parimargitavyam, we have to seek, look for that cause of this world. Yasmin gata nanivartanti bhuyaha. Once we reach God, our ultimate destination, again we don't come back to this world of ignorance. Bhuyaha means again, punaha. Nanivartanti. Nanivartanti, they don't come back. Why? Because this is not our permanent place. We are here only for a short time. This is not where we are supposed to be. To work out our karma, to fulfill our desires, we have taken birth. Our birth is karma driven. And once the karma is exhausted, we will die. Prarabdha is exhausted. Body, mind, everything will go away. And when we reach liberation, after many cycles of birth and death, liberation, we reach God, and that's our permanent abode. There we belong. That's where we truly belong. That's our permanent abode. There's no, then we don't come back here. Once we reach the ultimate goal, why would we want to come back to this limited world of suffering? God means Ananda, Sachidananda. Once you are established in Sachidananda, why come back to this hassle of this world? Every day some problem, disease, old age, death, janma, mrityu, jara, vyadi, dukkha, doshana, darshanam, 13th chapter we studied. We should, to develop a detachment to the world, we have to think about the problems of the world. Janma, mrityu, jara, yadi, dukkha, dosha, anuvartanam. 13th chapter, verse number 8 or 9. There, every day, if we think about the limitation, problems of this world, we lose interest in it. Why bother about this one? There's no true happiness here. Some problem every day. Birth, janma, taking birth itself is a problem. When you are infant, We have nothing we can do. Everything we have to depend upon mother, and we are totally helpless. Many years pass as a child. Childhood is nothing happens. Mrityu. Sooner or later, Mrityu will come, painful, suffering before death. Jara, old age will come, old age problems, all the Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. Vyadhi means disease will come. Disease can come in childhood also. Our friend Ravi, who comes here Saturdays for Karma Yoga, is a pediatric oncologist. He works with small children with cancer. It's so difficult to see the child suffering. Does not know anything. 3 or 4-year-old child having cancer. See, this is world suffering. Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi Dukkha Dosha Anudarshanam. Considering all these things, we should develop detachment. This is not really a place where we should be staying too long. We should get out of this place full of suffering. That detachment has to come. So, tatah padam tat parimargitavyam. We have to look for the permanent abode where we really belong. We belong in God, with God, or with Brahman, not in the world. Yasmin gata nanivartanti bhuyaha. Once having reached there, we don't come back. No need to, and we don't feel like coming back. That came in the 8th chapter also. Emprapidanivartante taddhama paramam mama. By reaching God, we don't come back to this world of suffering. Then what we should do? Tameva chadyam purusham prapadye yatah pravritti prasrita purani. Tameva adyam purusham prapadye. He alone. Tam means he alone. Adya Purusha means primordial being, Brahman or God. Primordial means no beginning. There's nothing before Brahman or God. Everything else came afterwards. World came afterwards. God was there before. Will always be there. Adyam Purusham prapadye. I take refuge in him. You should take refuge in God only, not in anything in the world. In the Narada Bhakti Sutra, Narada says, Anyashrayanam tyagaha, giving up all our attachment and dependence on all other things for safety. God is the only refuge. We should take only in God. Unfailing refuge. Everything else fails. If you depend upon friends, if you count on them to be available when you need, sometimes they are, sometimes they are not. They have their own problems. If you count on money, sometimes that will sometimes help you, sometimes will not help you. Money does not buy everything. It can buy medicines, but not health. If you depend upon family or job or other things, they will all leave us. Nothing is permanent. You can't depend upon them. They are temporary. If you depend on God, He is permanent. He'll never fail you. God will never disappoint you. He is always with us. Even when we are not thinking about Him, He is with us, protecting us. This moment is protecting us. There's a very nice book describing the biography of teachings of Holy Mother, Sri Sarada Devi. Holy Mother Sarada Devi and their divine play. Big book written by Swami Chetananjiji. There, Holy Mother Sarada Devi has said, every moment Sri Ramakrishna is carrying you in his hands. To one of young monk, she told this one. That monk didn't believe. Is he carrying us now? Because we didn't see Sri Ramakrishna. We are 2 generations away from him. She said, no, it's true. This moment is carrying you in your hands. That is the truth. So he's the on him only we have to depend. Can't depend upon anybody else. Family will come to your support most fun times. But when they are very sick, what the family can do? They can bring the doctor and give medicine. That's about all. So there's a parable in the gospel. This may be a little bit distasteful, but it conveys the dependence on family will not help us. Dependence on money, family, reputation, job, they don't come to our help always. For some time, they may give us some advantage. God is the only unfailing refuge. To illustrate this one, there was a student and a teacher. There were a student and a teacher. The student was thinking that the family will come to his rescue whenever he needs anything. The teacher wanted to show him the truth. That's not true. God is the only unfailing refuge, not anything else, not family. So the teacher made an experiment. He told the student, take this medicine and go home, and it will make you sleepy. You will be sleeping, but you'll be aware of what other people are telling. They think you are dead. It'll make you totally inactive, like a dead person. But you will be listening to what everybody is saying. So the student did that one. Everybody thought he was dead, but not moving, not responding. They started crying. Then the teacher came in the guise of a doctor. Why are you all people crying? What happened? The visitor asks, visiting doctor. The people say, oh, my mother said my son has died. Wife said my husband has died. They're all crying. So the visitor says, I can revive him and bring him back to life. So they're all very happy. Oh, please do. Then he said, there is a condition. Though, if one of you is willing to give your life, then he will live and you will have to die. That person has to. One of you has to give up your life, then he will be saved. He will take that lifespan from you. Though everybody one by one they withdrew. The mother said, no, I have other children to take care of. I cannot give my life. Wife said same thing. I have to take care of my children. I cannot give my life. No one was willing to give. In the meantime, the effect of the medicine ran out. Then he got up, that student, and he knew, he had heard about all these things, whatever happened, he knew. Then he walked away with the teacher. Nothing is dependable. For some time they will help, but not always. So, anya shranam tyagaha, that means only dependable refuge, ultimate refuge is God, and in Him you have to take refuge. That's what it says, second line, shloka number 4. Tameva chadyam purusham prapadye. Prapadye means taking refuge, surrender to the will of God, depend on God exclusively. Prapadye, I take refuge in the adyam purusham, primordial being, God, after cutting asunder my entanglement, attachment to this world. From whom yataha purani pravrittihi prasrita, the ancient creation came, emanated. He is the source of the creation. So we take refuge in him, not in the creation, but in the creator. That's the message. Then to do this one, we need some virtues, qualifications. You have to practice some virtues. Those are described in number 5. We did this one before, briefly. 5 things, 6 things we have to practice. Sloka number 5. Nirmana moha jita sanga dosha adhyatma nitya vinivritta kama dvandvair vimukta sukhadukka samjnai gacchantya modha padamavyayam tat. Divide of egoism and delusion. Mana moha. You studied in the 13th chapter. Sloka number 7 to 10. Amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsa, kshantirarjavam, like that one. So familiar to us. We have to give up attachment and delusion, egoism, mana. Egoism means I am important, I have so many qualities, and I did this, I did that, and that. Referring to the body mind, that is egoism, that should be given up. You are not the body and the mind. Nirmana moha jita sanga dosha. Jita means conquered. Sanga dosha, the defect of attachment. That has come throughout the Gita. No attachment to anything in the world. Does not mean we should not love people. We should serve them, love them, but not be attached. So sooner or later, no attachment means being ready for separation anytime. Not counting that they will be always. All associations are temporary, they will end. Chitasanga dosha adhyatmanitya. This came in the 13th chapter. Adhyatmanitya means constantly thinking about the divine presence within us, thinking about God, constantly practicing God's presence, the presence of God. How to do this one? By doing all our work as worship of God. Then you are always thinking about God. Worshipping God in any way, different ways, ritualistic worship, Dhupa, Deepa, Naivedya, all those things, chanting mantras, chanting hymns, singing devotional songs, and doing all work as worship. That way, we have to constantly practice the presence of God. Adhyatmanitya vinivrittakama, free from all desires. Kama means desire of various kinds. Earlier in the earlier shloka number 3, commentary Shankara described 3 kinds of desire. Putra vitta lokaishanabhyaha vyuttana. Putra ishanam, desire for a progeny, children, grandchildren, family. Vitta means money and property. Loka means enjoyment of the world, worldly pleasures. In this loka and next loka, next loka, Swarga also, giving up all these desires. Vinivritta kama dvandvair vimukta sukha dukkha samjnai. Dvandva means pairs of opposite things oscillating between sukha dukkha. Sukha dukkha samjnai dvandvaihi vimuktaha, becoming freed from the clutches of the pairs of opposite, profit and loss, some good and bad, pain and pleasure, happiness and unhappiness. All these things happen. So we become attached to all these things. We like one, we don't like the other. That should be given up. That came in earlier in many places in the Gita. One place where you can remember easily is 520, chapter 5, shloka 20. There, Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, "Na prahrushyet priyam prapya, no dvijet prapya cha priyam." Priyam prapya na prahrushyet. If you something pleasant happens, priyam, agreeable happens, pleasant happens, success comes, then na prahrushyet. We should not become too much exalted and become attached to it, because next day it will leave. Apriyam prapya na udvijet. Something unpleasant happens, disagreeable happens, painful happens, no udvijet, no udvega means disturbance, turbulence of the mind, perturbed. We should not become perturbed by something unpleasant that happens. Equanimity under all circumstances. That is dvandve vimukta, free from all the dvandva, pairs of opposites. Sukha-dukkha samjnai. What happens there to them? Te amudaha, those wise people. Muda means a foolish person. Amuda means a wise person who has all these virtues. Tat avyayam padam gachanti. They go to the supreme abode, imperishable abode, destination, God. We reach our destination of human life, namely God or liberation or mukti, by practicing these disciplines, nirmana moha, jita sanga dosha, etc. Then you go to shloka number 6. Very interesting verse. Na tadbhasayate suryo na shashanko na pavakaha yadgatva na nivartante tadhama paramam mama. Very important, very interesting verse. Na tadbhasayate surya. That means the supreme reality, Brahman or God. Surya na bhasayate. Sun cannot illuminate. You cannot illuminate the sun. Sun itself is illuminating other objects. You don't need a small lantern or candle to illuminate sun. Oh, with this light you can see. No, God is like that. Sun cannot illuminate, too small, because sun's power to illuminate other things comes from God. It is God's power that makes the sun shine. So sun cannot illuminate God. Sun power comes from God. A candle cannot illuminate the sun. Candle's power to illuminate comes from the sun. So we can't go back to the source. Atad bhasayate suryo, that means the Lord is supreme, above everything. It does not need the help of any other source of light to be seen. Na shashanko na pavakaha. Shashanka means moon. Moon also illumines the world, transferring, changing sunlight into moonlight, soothing and cooling moonlight. Sun's light is blazing hot. Moon converts it into soothing, cool moonlight. That power of moon to do that one comes from God. Moon cannot illumine God. God used moon to illumine the world. Na shashanko na pavakaha. Pavaka means fire. Fire burns everything. And where does fire get its power to burn? From God. It's God's power in the fire that makes it able to burn everything. Yadgatva nanivartante. By reaching where? By having gone where? Yadgatva nanivartante. We don't come back. That came earlier in the previous sloka. Tadhama paramam mama. That abode. Dhamma means abode, final resting place where we belong. Supreme Dhamma, Mama, that is my abode. That's where God is. If you reach God, the ultimate abode, then we don't want to come back to this world. This world appears so limited and full of problems. Why do we want to come back here again? Enough, we reach God. That's our permanent place. That's where absolute joy and peace, unconditional joy, eternal joy, peace is there. Ananda is there. It is just like if you have a original true diamond, like Kohinoor, or even something smaller, a $5,000 necklace or a diamond ring or something you have, why would you go and buy a $15 imitation jewelry? To have the original one, this imitation is fake. They appear similar. No, the world is like that. This is not the true place. Somehow we got stuck here, we came here, we strayed here because of our karma and desires. This is not where we should be spending our time. We should go back as soon as possible to our own true abode, where we belong. We belong, our places with God, with Brahman. That's where we should try to go back as soon as possible. Not being attached and wanting to stay in this world longer. No. Yadgatva nanivartante taddhama paramam mama. Here, this idea that the sun, the moon, and fire, and all other things get their power to function, to produce light, heat, and energy, and do everything, comes from only one source, original source, God. Not only sun, moon, etc., fire, etc. Even the smallest ant crawling on the ground, carrying a small particle of sugar. You see that one sometimes. Where does the ant get its power to carry that, to move and autonomously move and carry the one small grain of sugar? It does so much. Power is there in the ant. It does it on its own. There is no power connection. It's autonomous. From where does it get its power? From the same source from where sun gets its power to shine. The same source from where we get our power to do all these things. I'm speaking, I'm walking, I'm talking, I'm eating, I'm doing things. Where do I get my power to do all these things? Source of power is God, God's presence within me. If He does not give me the power to do anything, I can't do, it will become dead body. So it's so God's power that makes the whole world function. Whole world, everything. Plants grow, produce fruit and flower and other things because of God's power in them. It will come later also. Sun shines and moves and makes everything possible on this earth because of God's power in the sun. Earth sustains all the beings, produces crops, supports the beings on the earth, animals and plants and everything because of God's power in the earth. God's power is in every being. In every being, God's power is there. For example, take an animal like a cow. The cow eats whatever food is given to it, fodder, grass, and vegetable peelings, whatever people give the cow, it eats. Here in cow farms, they give mechanical all this growth hormones and whatever antibiotic. That's not natural. Whatever it is given, it eats. Then what does it produce? Nutritious milk, nourishing milk. What is the power in the cow that takes all these things, grass and water and whatever is given to it, and produces beautiful, nourishing milk? God's power in it. So same thing about other beings, animals, plants, people. We get all our energy to do things we do because of God's power in us. If that is not there, body becomes inert. It appears to be functioning autonomously. The autonomy that we are enjoying, autonomy being able to work independently. That is because of God's power in us. Some people who unfortunately are very sick, they can't work autonomously. They need an external source of power. I've seen some people, very unfortunate. We should feel for them. They cannot walk by themselves. They cannot even breathe by themselves. So they need a breathing machine. They are very severely handicapped people. They need a lot of help. We should be compassionate and show them respect. They're attached to a very elaborate wheelchair. So many things there. Breathing machine is there. And it has to be connected to an outlet for the machine to pump oxygen air to the lungs. They can't breathe on their own power. They can be without this power connection for 30 minutes. Then the battery runs out and they have to be connected. Such people are there. They need external help, additional help. But fortunately, for majority of people, you can function apparently autonomously. You don't need any external power connection. What is that? What is it that makes us function autonomously? God's power in us. So that's what we should be focusing our attention on. Natad bhasayate surya, sun cannot eliminate. Sun gets power to eliminate from God. Nashashanko, moon cannot eliminate. Moon gets his power to eliminate from God. Napavakaha, fire cannot burn it. Fire gets its power to burn from God. Yadgatva, reaching that abode, supreme abode, paramam dhama, supreme dhama. Dhama means abode, place of stay. Tadhama paramam mama. Yadgatva nani vartante. We don't come back. Once you go there, we want to come back to this world of suffering. Tadhama paramam mama. This God being the source of all power of all whole world functioning. Sun producing heat, other stars producing heat, people or animals, if they are present in other planets, they are living, crops growing, everything is because of God's presence. There is a very nice story to illustrate this in the Kena Upanishad. The Kena Upanishad, the story is, there is a frequent battle between gods and demons, devas and rakshasas in our mythology. Sometimes the god wins, sometimes the rakshasas win. So once in such a battle, the gods win. Indra, Surya, Yama, Varuna, Agni, these are all the gods. They won and they assembled in Indra's court and they were very happy, congratulating themselves. Oh, we defeated the Rakshasas like that one. Then they did not know that they could not do it by their own power. It's God's power in them that made them defeat the Rakshasas. But they were thinking that they are, by their own power, they defeated the Rakshasas. They were thinking like that. At that time, to teach them a lesson in humility, at the entrance to Indra's court, where all these people had assembled, an old man appears. Everybody looks at, how can this man come here? The human beings have no access to Indraloka. Nobody can walk in there. It's not like some other place on the earth. How did this man come here? The old man standing there. Indra says, you have to find out. So Indra asks this Agni. Agni means fire god. Agni, can you go and find out who this old man is? Agni goes to that man with the arrogance. Agni is very arrogant. Oh, I can burn everything. He asked the foreman, hey, who are you? How did you come here? That old man says, first of all, you tell me who you are. Nobody had told Agni to that one. You know Agni, how far we stay away from Agni. No one had challenged Agni like that one. Old man says, you ask me who I am, you tell me who you are first. What can you do? Agni, don't you know I am Agni, the god of fire, I can burn everything. Oh, you can burn everything. Old man says. Then burn this, he keeps a piece of straw in front of Agni. Burn this one, let me see. Agni, this is nothing for me. Then burn it. Then Agni puts fire, he turns up the heat, nothing happens. The straw remains cool, doesn't burn. Agni increases the power. No matter how much heat Agni put on the straw remains unaffected, does not burn at all. Agni was defeated. He didn't know. He was astounded. How can you not burn this straw? Can burn whole cities and towns. Forest fires, thousands of acres of land, trees are all burned by Agni. This straw he could not burn. So he goes back and sits down there. Crestfallen, Agni. And Indra is noticing. Indra asks Vayu, the power of wind, can you go and find out? Why this Agni does not know? I can find out. He's proud. So he goes to the old man. Same thing. Who are you? How did you come here? Old man says, you tell me who you are. Why don't you know me? I am the god of wind. What can you do? I can move everything and dry everything and destroy everything. When the hurricane comes, tornado comes, everything is destroyed. Whole towns and cities will be reduced to rubble. I am that Vayu, don't you know? Oh, is that so? Then move this one, keep the same straw. No matter how much pressure wind puts, the straw does not move at all. Wind is so powerful, it can move buildings and everything, trees and everything, but they could not move the straw, Vayu. So he goes back defeated, sits down in his seat. Indra is watching all these things. So Indra, by this time, he is being intelligent. He knows this old man is not what he appears. He must be God himself in disguise. Indra concludes. Then Indra goes to him with humility. Sir, will you please reveal your true nature to us? So that old man disappears. As soon as Indra went and asked him to reveal his true nature, the old man disappears, and in his place, Divine Mother Uma stands there. When Indra saw the Divine Mother, Divine Mother came in the form of that old man to teach us a lesson in humility. We won in the battle with the Asuras, Rakshas, not because of our power, because of Divine Mother's power, God's power. So we have to worship Divine. So Indra bows down and the story continues. So people say, I'm so powerful, I have done all these things, so I have achieved this much by my own power, I'm independent. I created this whole project, I own it, I did it myself. No, by the power of God. I can't move a piece of paper from here to here unless God's power makes it possible for me to do that one. Everything. So we have to remember the source of our power, God. Not I, but thou, O Lord. That is the attitude we should have. So this sloka number 6 teaches us that one. In the Upanishad, this will come again in the next 2 slokas also. There's a very famous verse. Many people have said, Swami Vivekananda has said, this verse is the most beautiful verse in all of Upanishads. 4 lines. It comes in the several Upanishads. As far as I know, it comes in Katha Upanishad, Mundaka Upanishad, Shotashatra Upanishad, maybe other places. The priests chant it every day in the temple while doing Nirajanam, Arati. The verse is, Natatra Suryo Bhati Nachandratarakam Nema Vidyuto Bhanti Kutoyamagnihi Tameva Bhantam Anubhati Sarvam Tasya Bhasa Sarvamidam Nivati. Tasya Bha means effulgent, power, light. By his power, by his light, Idam Sarvam Vibhati, this whole universe shines, appears to function autonomously. The real source of power is He, the Lord. Tatra na surya na tatra bhati. Same thing as tatat bhasate surya. The sun cannot shine there. There means in the abode of God. Sun cannot illuminate God. Sun gets his power to illuminate other things from God. Na chandra tarakam, no moon. Moon cannot illuminate. Stars, tarakam means stars cannot illuminate. Nema vidyato bhanti. Lightning. Vidyut means lightning. Lightning cannot illuminate. Lightning gets power from God. Kotoyam agnihi. From where Agni gets his power? From the same source. He thinks he's independent, autonomous. No. Agni cannot do anything without power of God, enabling him to do something. Same thing about all of us. Tameva bhantam. When he is shining, Lord is shining. Anubhati sarvam. Everything shines in his light. Tasya bhasa, by his effulgence, idam sarvam nibhati, whole universe shine, everything function, everything from a small atom. In the atom, all these electrons are whirling around the nucleus at tremendous speeds. Where do they get their power? How do the atom gets its power? And every cell functioning, doing so many things in the human body, other bodies, digesting food and all those functions cell is doing. Where does the cell get its power to do all those things? This tiny little thing from God, same source. Only one source of power in the universe. Next, the whole universe function. That is God. That we have to know. There we belong. That's our source. That's our abode. Not this world, which is coming and going, temporary pain and pleasure, etc. Yadgatva nanivartante taddama paramam mama. That is sloka number 6. Let me read sloka number 7. The new topic begins from sloka number 7. 7 to 11, description of the Jivatma. How God appears as all the beings. So we see all the beings, animals and plants and people and things, but we don't see God. Vedanta says only God appears as all the beings. Sri Ramakrishna said Divine Mother herself appears as the universe. So how does it happen? How can God appear as the universe? That explanation is given in the verses 7 onwards, 7 to 11. So let me read 7 and we'll study it next time. Mama evaṁsho jīvaloke jīvabhūtas sanātanaha manashashthāni indriyāni prakritisthāni karshati. An eternal part of myself. Mama eva amshaha. Amsha means a fragment, part. Mama, a part of me, the Lord is saying. How can infinite have parts? God is infinity. Satyam anantam brahma. It cannot be having, you can't cut God into parts. But he says my part becomes a jiva in the universe. To understand that one, we have to take the example of a space in a cup versus space outside the cup. Supposing there is a cup, there's space in it. And there's space outside the cup. Are there two different spaces or one? We can say a part of the space has come into the cup. A part of the infinite space is contained in the cup. That's our view from here. Really, there is no separation from this space and that space. Only one ultimate reality, indivisible. Avibhaktam cha bhuteshu vibhaktam vichastitam. In the 13th chapter, we studied that one. 13th chapter, Bhagavan Shri Krishna says, Avibhakta, God is indivisible, infinite, eternal, pure consciousness. Can't divide it into parts. Avibhaktam. However, bhuteshu, in all the beings, vibhaktam ivastitam, as if he is divided, he stays. Space is one infinite continuum, cannot be divided into parts. However, it appears to us that space is containing all different containers, small space here in the cup, big space in the gallon container, the space in this room. They all appear to be separate. No, they're all one space. There's no real separation. It's continuous. So that idea that the consciousness in all of us is the same one, and the indivisible consciousness. The bodies are different, containers are different, content is the same. This is what we learned in the second chapter, sloka number, in the 13th chapter, sloka number 2, 13:2. There Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, kshetrajñam chapi mam vidhi sarvakshetreshu bharata. Sarvakshetreshu, in all the beings, animal beings, plant beings, inanimate beings, earth, sun, these are all kshetras. In all the beings, mam kshetrajñam vidhi, know me to be the one indwelling spirit. He is singular. Containers are many, content is only one. Containers are infinite in number. If you count all the beings, how many beings are there in this universe? There is no number. How many trees, how many people, or just on this one planet, then so many other planets and systems are there. Innumerable. In all the beings, only one consciousness runs. In the sun also, in the moon also, that will come later. The same consciousness that is in the sun and the moon, and the elephant and the tiger, and the human being, good man, wicked man, saintly man, is all the same one. Content is same. That's why you have to see God in all. One divinity present in all. We'll study that next time. Let me say the closing prayer. Om sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Om shanti shanti shanti. Om, may all be happy. May all be free from diseases and other problems. May all realize and practice what is noble and auspicious. May no one be subject to misery. Om peace. May there be peace and joy in our hearts. Adhyatmika shanti. May there be peace and harmony amongst all the beings. Adi bhautika shanti. May there be peace everywhere in nature. Adi daivika shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Sarvam Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Next week we have our Silver Jubilee celebration beginning from Friday evening. Friday evening, 7:30, Swami Sarvadevanji will give the opening address. Saturday whole day program and music, classical music performance. Sunday morning puja and conclusion. You will get the notice about all the programs by email. Please come and participate as much as possible, or you can watch from home. Thank you very much. God willing, see you next week. Namaskar.